the Ninja Legion, and this is Saving Throw. I'm Spider,
I'm D.
and today we're going to be doing a little playthrough of Boss Monster.
The game itself is relatively simple. It's a card game, as you can see from all the cards that we have set out on the board or on the table here. It's kind of nostalgic in the sense that it looks 8-bit, but I feel like the game is fairly simple. We can probably do this pretty quickly. And
Yeah, probably. The basic idea of the game is that you are a boss monster, like in an old school video game, and you are trying to build out your dungeon to lure and defeat heroes. First person to get to 10 souls is the winner. Regular heroes have 1 soul, epic heroes have 2, and not take 5 wounds in the process, because 5 wounds will kill you. So yeah, that's all you really need to know. So we're going to go ahead and get started and move this out of the way here.
the first thing first, you're going to shuffle up the boss deck, and each person is going to select one boss. So go ahead and pick one.
Take that one.
Take this one, and then these go off to the side.
Yep.
And I've drawn Cerebellus.
And I have Zyzax.
And so we set these up, and they represent the beginning or the end of our dungeon. And we'll build up more dungeon slots as we play through the game.
All right. Then you also get to start the game. You're dealt 5 room cards and 2 spell cards. You then have to choose 2 of those cards and discard them to get your final starting hand, which we will do now.
Let's see. Ooh. That's kind of good.
Actually, no, I want that.
Yeah, I don't want that. Okay. And what you do when you're done selecting your hand, you put it both room and spell cards into a primary discard pile. There is no separation. You just take them both, chuck them in the discard pile next to the decks, and go from there.
Sorry, having difficulty picking my room or my cards. So discard it. All right, so before the game properly starts, we each pick a basic room card from our hand. Basic room card is any room card that does not have the word advanced on it, and we play it face down next to our boss.
You can also tell that it's not advanced because in the upper left-hand corner of the card, there's a little symbol, and it's either silver or gold. If it's silver, it's a basic. If it is gold, it's an advanced.
Yes. Good call. All right, so we got our basic ones first. We flip over, and the person who has the boss monster with the highest experience points gets to resolve their effects first, which is me in this game. I have a Minotaur's Maze.
And I have a Brainstalker Hive.
Yep. All right, so then we actually begin our proper first turn now. We each get to... We play 3 heroes from the hero deck. We have a mage, another mage, and a thief. And then we will each draw a room card
In turn order.
in turn order. So
Spider
I
starts
get mine first.
I'll draw mine.
All right. And then the same process as before. We play a room card face down, resolve them in active player order, and then the heroes will venture forth from there. So I'll build my one there.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah. All right. So played them. Flip. I have the Goblin Armory.
I have the Haunted Library.
All right. So now the heroes venture forth since we don't have any effects that we have to resolve, and it's a first in, first out order. So the order in which they played from the deck, they will go out. So we start off with our first mage, and mages go off of which dungeon has the most tomes, which D has 3, and I have 0. So the mage will go there. The next mage will also go there. And the thief, since none of us have any bags of money, will stay in town until somebody has more than the other.
Right. If at any point there is a tie, whether it's 0, 1, any number, that the respective heroes stay in town no matter what.
They can't pick between which treasure-filled dungeon they want to go to, so they just wait until they can.
Right. And so, since Spider has no heroes to go through his dungeon, we'll go through mine. And we start with the first mage. It has 8 health, and we have to be able to take that out before it hits my boss. And we go through the first dungeon room, and it has damage of 1, so it's down to 7 health. And then the next dungeon has 2, so it brings it down to 5. But that's not enough to kill it, so it hits my boss and becomes a wound. Then we go through the second one. Also, another mage, has 6 health, 1 damage again, 2 damage, doesn't kill it, hits my boss, becomes another wound. And that's the general turn order.
Yep. And that's it. So we'll continue to move on to the game like that. So we'll go to the next starting phase. We have a fighter, a mage, and a cleric.
And then we each draw one card.
So I get my card.
Get my card.
All right. And then we go to build. Which actually might need to scoot back a little bit.
Yep.
All right. So we'll flip them over. I have the construction zone.
I have the golem factory.
When I build my construction zone, I immediately build an additional room, and I will build a dizzy gas hallway. Which, if the next room in my dungeon is a trap room, it gets a +2 bonus, and the construction zone is, so I boosted up my construction zone pretty well. So hopefully I can defend against some of these incomings. Alright, so same process as before. We'll get these heroes out. Thief, I have 2. You have 0, so I'll get a thief. Put them down here. Fighter, I have 4. I'll get a fighter. Mage, you have more, so you'll get a mage. And then cleric, I have 1, and you have 0, so I'll get a cleric as well. So I have lots of adventurers to go through my dungeon. Let's hope this works out for me. All right, so we'll start with the thief. It enters the dizzy gas hallway and takes 1, so it goes to 5. The construction zone, it takes 3, so it goes to 2. Goblin armory takes it down to 1. Minotaur's maze will kill it, dealing the final point of damage. So I get my first soul, and souls are just the hero cards face down. So I got a fighter, 1 in the first room, 3 in the second room, kills it, so I get 2. The cleric, it's 1, up to 4, 5, 6, 7, because the Minotaur's maze sends it back, and then 8 when it enters the maze the second time and kills it. So I killed all my heroes, which is pretty good.
And I'm not. It's going to take 2 in the first room, 1 in the second room, 2 in the third room, and it has 3 hit points left because I got one of the harder mages. And so it hits my boss in the face again.
2 of the 8 health mages.
Yes,
that's pretty rough.
That really hurt.
So, and move on. Continue on. Next turn, we have another mage, a little bit weaker this time. You get another mage, and another fighter. And then we get our room cards over here.
Room card.
And build phase. So what we're doing right now is you can build on top of the existing rooms. You can make them advanced rooms if you'd like, or you can just build an additional room on top of it. If you build an additional room, the existing room stays there, and if something makes you discard the room that's currently showing, you then replace it with the room that was previously there. So you just build up.
When you place an advanced room on a previous room, though, you cannot build on top of the advanced room. It is stuck as that until that advanced room is discarded.
Yep.
So go ahead and flip
over. I have the Vampire Bordello.
And I have the All-Seeing Eye.
All right. So let's get our heroes out into the world. Mages are going to keep going over to you.
And you'll get the fighter.
And I'll get the fighter. One of the cool things to point out is that the hero cards are based off of things from pop culture. So the one that I have that I'm holding right here, his name is Mitchell the Judge, and I can kind of hold him up a little bit more. And if you look closely, he sort of resembles Jace Beleren from Magic the Gathering, because he's got the little rune symbols in front of him, and he has the same style of cloak. And then the fighter that's going into my dungeon is a red-headed adventurer wielding swords, and I'm wearing a chainmail bikini. So it looks like Red Sonja from comics. So,
all right,
pretty neat.
Go ahead.
So start with me. I got my 6 health fighter. So 1 to 4 damage, and then it will die in the Vampire Bordello. I'm taking 3. The Vampire Bordello says if a hero dies in that room, I can heal a wound. I have no wounds, so
The other thing we forgot to note is that when you build an advanced trap room or an advanced room on top of another one, it must match appropriate symbols. And
Which
so
I clearly forgot to do, so
Yes.
I'm going to have to redo my build.
yes.
I forgot that rule myself. I'm still pretty new to this game. So I will instead do that. I'm going to build the Crushinator, Futurama reference, instead. So we'll do it that way.
Go for
Sorry about that. Mistakes happen, people. Part of getting used to new games. So we do 1 and then 4 there, so that's 5, and then it'll die in the Goblin Armory instead. So it still dies, so it doesn't change anything.
Nope. And my mages will start going back through again. Takes 2, and then takes 3, and will die. So I'll get my first soul finally.
Yay!
And then he'll enter 2, 5, and then he'll die into the Brainsucker Hive. And if a hero dies in this room, I can draw a spell card, and I will. All right.
All right, so next turn, let's flip over our heroes. We have a Cleric, another Cleric, and a Thief. Draw our cards here. Excuse me for reaching across.
Decisions.
Indeed. I think I'll do that.
And I think I will just put this down.
All right.
Scoot out of the
So,
way here.
same thing. Flip over to our next one. So I'm going to build the Centipede Tunnel, which is my 5th room. It's the first time you build your 5th room in a game, you get your boss's level up effect. I get to choose 2 cards from the discard pile and put them into my hand. And I also have my rooms effect, which is when you build this room, you may swap the placement of 2 rooms in any one dungeon. So I'm going to swap my Armory and my Minotaur's maze, so that my maze will retain its bonus, but it'll send things back to the Crushinator rather than the Goblin Armory. So while I pick out my 2 cards from the discard pile,
I'll go ahead and get the heroes together. My room has an effect that I can choose to destroy the room at any time and choose a dead hero from my opponent's scorekeeping, so anything that he's collected as a soul, and have it returned through the dungeon. And so, while Spider's continuing here, we'll have
all right,
a
got my
cleric,
card picked.
and we both have 1. I have 1 in here, and his boss counts as 1, so that will stay. We have another cleric. We both have 1, so it will also stay.
And then we have
And then we have the thief, and you
I
have
have
2,
2.
and I have 0, so he gets the thief.
Thief. All right, so it'll start off here in the Centipede Tunnel. Take 1. It'll take a 2nd damage for ending the Dizzy Gas Hallway. It'll take a whopping 4 damage from the Crushinator. So that'll take it down to 2 health. It'll enter the Minotaur's maze, take 1, and then it'll get sent back to the Crushinator and die there. So I'm up to 5 souls now, which puts me halfway to winning the game.
And let's go back through. Go ahead and flip your heroes.
Flip our heroes. We have a Cleric, a Fighter, and another Cleric. So lots and lots of Clerics right now, so we need to get that all built up.
And flip.
Flip. I'm going to build over my Centipede Tunnel with a Dark Altar. And you get a Monstrous Monument.
And
Lets you take a monster room from the discard pile and put it back in your hand.
And I'll also have my level up, and I may draw 3 spell cards and then discard a spell card.
Okay.
So, go through here. There are no monster rooms in the discard pile, so I get nothing. But I will activate my draw effect. And
You activated my trick. So. All right, while D is doing that, I'm going to get the heroes sent out into the world.
I'm going to do something before that. So.
Oh, okay. I was just trying to speed us up a
Yes,
little
I know.
bit here.
I'm going to impact the game at this point. So I will go ahead and discard that. But before the heroes are placed, I'm going to go ahead and place a free spell card. And it has 2 symbols on it. It has a little build, and it has a little axe, or a little hammer and a little axe, and you can play that at any one time. And I'm going to go ahead and freeze your dark altar.
I will use a spell card of my own. I will counterspell your freeze
And
to just cancel the effect of that card.
and because I have the all-seeing eye, I will discard a spell card to counter his spell card. I can do that once per turn.
All right. And
Yay for interactions.
and then I will go ahead and play a freeze of my own on your zombie prison. So when a room is deactivated, it has no effect on everything, pretty much. So basically what that means is that when we check for our clerics, D only has the one symbol from the monstrous monument, and I only have the one symbol for my boss monster, so all the clerics are going to stay in town.
And
So the fighter...
he has 3 and I have 1, so he'll get the fighter.
Yep. Make sure the clerics go in the proper order. And once again, talking about references, our fighter here is Johnny of the Evening Watch, and it has lots of little icicles and stuff on it. So it's meant to be Jon Snow from Game of Thrones, who knows nothing. So he will enter the Dark Altar, take 1 damage. 1 damage from the Dizzy Gas Hallway to go up to 2. 4 damage from the Crushinator. Go into the Minotaur's Maze and then get sent back to the Crushinator where he will die. Just like his father. Spoiler alert. But not in the same manner.
So awful.
Alrighty then. So that gets us through that. We'll flip over some more heroes. We got more clerics coming out. A fool. And the mage. And we'll draw cards.
Draw the card.
Do. Alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Not play my room card. Sit here and twiddle my thumbs. So
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I feel like that's a bad move. That kind of makes me sad. So I'll go ahead and place this here.
all right. So flip over the rooms. I build a vampire bordello.
And I build Dragon Hatchery.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and cut some time out of this. We still have the same number of the
Cleric symbol.
cleric loots, so the clerics are going to stay still. The fool goes to the dungeon of the player with the fewest souls, which is D, so the fool will go there, and the mage will also go to D, because I have no tomes for the mage to seek after.
And so he goes in the Dragon Hatchery, which is 0, goes in the Zombie Prison, and then goes in the Golem Factory.
And
when he dies, I may draw a room card. So I will draw a room card. And then the mage goes back through. 0, 1, 2, and he dies in the All-Seeing Eye.
Yep, so that'll take care of that turn. So we got a fighter, we got a thief, and we got another thief. So draw cards. Right. Yep, just make sure I'm not cheating.
No, actually, no. I do not want to do that. I'm not going to be a bad player at this game.
Build up. Do.
I will do that instead.
All
Okay.
right, so flip over. I have the Beast Menagerie. Once per turn, when you build another monster room, draw a room card.
And I have the monster's bathroom.
Ballroom.
Or ballroom, sorry. Bathroom. Its attack is equal to the number of monster rooms that I have.
So you have
I have
4.
Yes. So it's
Pretty
it's
strong
worth
room.
4.
My Beast Menagerie is also worth 4. All right, so let's get some heroes out, unless you have any effects you want to do beforehand.
Nope.
All right, so the clerics have finally decided to take action. The monster's ballroom allows me to take the advantage when it comes to clerics, so I'm going to get a whole bunch of clerics coming to my dungeon. I'm also... The fighters are tied now, because we only have 2 each. So the fighter's going to stay in town. And I have 2 bags of gold, and he has none, so I'm going to have some thieves line up too. So I have a lot of adventurers coming to visit my awesome super dungeon, trying to take on Zyzax, the progenitor lich.
And before things go off, though, I'm going to go ahead and freeze his Crushinator room.
Okay.
So it will do nothing.
All right, so we'll start with our first cleric. It's 4 hit points. So it enters the Vampire Bordello, takes 3. Enters the Dizzy Gas Hallway, takes 1 and dies. Next cleric, same thing. 4 health. Dies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have our next cleric, which is a whopping 8 health. 3, 1. Goes to the Minotaur's Maze, then gets kicked back to the Dizzy Gas hallway. So that'll take it up to 5 damage, and then it'll finally move on to the Beast Menagerie, where it takes 4 and also dies. Cleric with 6, 3, 1, 4 or 5 damage. Beast Menagerie will die there as well. Takes me to 9. And 6, 6, 8, and we've already seen kind of how it goes. So they'll all die to the Beast Menagerie, which will give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 souls. So we'd continue on. If there were any adventurers that had to go through D's dungeon, they would. And then at the end of the turn, since I have 10 or more souls and the most souls, I will win the game. Yep. So that's kind of it. We didn't make it all the way to them. Sometimes you do. We had a few more regular heroes to go before we hit the epic heroes. The epic heroes are worth 2 souls each and are a bit stronger than the regular heroes. You can see the one here is 11 health, so it's a little bit tougher to kill. But I did just realize that we did forget one important thing.
Oh.
For the heroes, depending on the number of players you are using, they have a little symbol on the bottom of the card with 2 people, 3 people, or 4 people. And if you're playing with 2 people, you're supposed to remove all the ones that are 3 or 4. And we forgot to do that.
Right.
So again, part of the learning curve of doing new games, we would have actually had less regular heroes to go through before hitting those epic heroes, which would have made this a little bit tougher. But again, learning curve. Sometimes you make some mistakes when playing new games, and that was a small setup error.
Right.
But I guess as a kind of like a little final wrap up here, it's a really cool game because that harkens back to the old NES days of simple little side scroller adventure games. I really enjoy it. There's a lot of strategy involved to it. And the more players you get involved, the deeper the strategy gets, because you have to compete with more than just the person sitting next to you.
Right.
So yeah, I'd highly recommend picking it up. There is one expansion available for it right now. And another cool note, the Boss Monster currently has a Kickstarter running to get the Boss Monster app. And there's a bunch of different levels of rewards that get you access to promotional cards that were only given out at certain events for your app version of the game. So definitely head over to Kickstarter and check that out. If you play this game and like it, definitely worth taking a look at. I can't wait to have it on my phone.
It's going to be pretty cool to have.
Because it will let you to play against other people, but it also will let you play against the computer, so you can one player play Boss Monster. So I would say this is a definite buy. If you're a tabletop gaming player, definitely check this one out and pick it up.
I agree. Totally agree to pick up this game. The one issue that I do have with this game though is that the rooms themselves are relatively repetitive. There doesn't seem like a whole lot of variation in the rooms, but other than that, everything else is very well done. I like I like how it runs. I like the setup. I like the speed of it as well. It runs fairly quick. So I would say probably about an 8 out of 10 for this game.
Yeah, I would probably go a little bit higher. I'd say like an 8.5, maybe a 9 out of 10 with it. Well, again, there's an expansion for it, and I'm sure they plan on doing more because it seems to be very successful right now. So the expansions will fix that variation problem. So once we get a hold of some of those and some more come out, you might be able to even bump the score up a little bit higher.
Right.
All right, so thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed our little playthrough here. Once again, we are the Ninja Legion. I'm Spider.
I'm D.
Thanks for watching.